Okay, so I'm gonna put this in a little bit of an issue that I'm having in the Overwatch competitive area, because I know we have the brand new 222 role queue thing that is going on with Overwatch right now. The issue that I'm having with the 222 right now is that, you know, a lot of people now are playing the DPS role. Last time I played anything or tried to attempt to play DPS role, the queue for it was around 5 minutes, 6 minutes at most. I had even a story while I was playing competitive that it was around 18 minutes of a wait at one point, or even 9 minutes of a wait, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the whole 222 thing for Overwatch here and there, and I completely understand why they did it. I think it's a great thing that is added. But the problem is, a lot more people are playing DPS than playing tank, and then playing, you know, things such as healer. Now, with that is a major problem. Because of that, the queue ends up being very, very long, and I hate that so much. Especially for a person who likes to play all three roles. I like playing all three roles. Why do you think things like tank and healer actually have, like, you know, the ability to earn credits or loot boxes? And DPS barely has that. That's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. That makes me laugh a lot, honestly. And with that happening, you know, things like getting bad DPS is a major thing, which I don't know why, because DPS is probably the most easiest role, or the role that doesn't really take that much compared to the others, and I'll explain how. DPS usually consists around different things like, you know, damage, probably eliminations, but eliminations can be done in many different roles. Like, you can have a lot of eliminations done within the tank area, even especially the healing area, and, you know, with the DPS area. So I would leave eliminations for anybody. But when it comes to a lot of damage, I would suggest that DPS do a lot more damage, which is not difficult to do. A lot of things like doing damage to a tank is major. A lot of things like doing damage to a healer is major. Or even to the other players on the other team is major, because of the fact that, you know, somebody can finish them off, or do things like, you know, I would say, I don't know, just like lower them down to a point where they would have to run away from the team. Now, why DPS is so easy is because most of the players, most of the actual characters in the DPS area have a kit that benefits from getting away, sometimes healing, and doing massive amounts of damage. Now, each character has a different difficulty. I'm not saying things like, you know, Reaper takes a lot more skill than a Hanzo. No, like characters like Hanzo, McCree, Widow, and, you know, sometimes Ashe, or sometimes, you know, Symmetra or Sombra take a little bit more skill to play, and, you know, even Doomfist. But the problem that I'm having specifically is just the fact that, you know, people cannot do these roles, and that's a major thing of how you can't do that. Because I have done things like gotten 4 golds, even as, like, you know, like as a short role, like I would say 4 gold as Roadhog, and for like you know, objective time, objective kills, eliminations, and damage over a Reaper, a Soldier, or an Ashe, and that's a major problem. I'm gonna need a lot more people to start practicing on their DPS, because that's a major role of where they need to do. You know, things like Reaper needs to be taking out the healers, or going after the tanks to build up his ability. Same thing with Soldier. You know, same thing with Sombra, to like hack different characters such as a Sigma, even for a Risa, even for a Mei, even for a Baptiste. Like, all different types of things. They need to learn things from counters and for doing a massive amount of damage. Now, some characters do a lot more damage than the others. Like, Reaper does more damage than, I would say, a Hanzo, or a Hanzo does like more damage than, you know, a certain other character, or here, or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But the problem is, when you're stuck in that role, damage is your main priority. Now, here's another thing that I have an issue with. A lot of healers have, you know, abilities to, like, you know, do things like get away and heal the teammates, but we have to try to keep them alive. Especially it goes for DPS and tank, especially DPS the most. Now, why I say this is because DPS has a tendency of doing more damage than a lot of other characters. why not go ahead and defend your support? Plus, DPS also rely more on support. Now, for instance, characters like Ashe, characters like McCree, all have like no way of staying alive. You know, there are no ways for them to stay alive because they have terrible getaways, they have terrible ways to, boost their mobility, where most of the other characters have ways like grapple hooks, climbing walls, running, I would say building certain obstacles to get by, building teleporters. And another problem that they have is that some of them have the ability to heal themselves, such as Reaper with his lifesteal, Soldier with the ability to put down the actual healing area, Sombra to hack healing points, and even Mei with her actual iceberg, where she puts herself in the iceberg and then heals. That should be something that everybody should be able to do, because of the fact that if a support is gone or if both of the supports are dead, you have to try to stay alive. And I don't understand why DPS has that major issue with staying alive, where the mobility on DPS is just as good as the healers, but the healers can only have the ability to heal everybody on their team. Some of them, especially on the DPS area, only have the ability to heal themselves. So I think that's a major fix. One thing I would recommend for Overwatch to do, and this will be a major change, I would suggest put a limit of what role you're playing on competitive. So if you play DPS 5 times or 6 times, then they lock out DPS and you have to choose another role. It gives the ability for other roles to be played more, and it gives the ability for people who don't play DPS to play DPS, and for those who want to play DPS to play DPS. But it's also a negative because of the fact that people who play DPS sometimes don't know how to play DPS, which I don't understand how. But this is what I think, and this is my opinion on this. I want to know what you guys think. Please go ahead and comment on what you guys think and let me know what you guys agree on. But definitely subscribe to the EHG community. Definitely turn on your notifications when we get new streams and new videos set out. Definitely join us on our Facebook group, our Discord channel, and make sure you're subscribed to the moderators in the description. But this is your boy CrazyBase98, aka Nicholas Morales, founder of the EHG community, and thank you for watching for this episode.